Hello everybody, this is Chris, Kerbal Space Program Hard Mode. This is Mission 11, or Episode 11, not Mission 11, I've had a few in between, but Episode 11, which is launching the command capsule to the Kerbal International Space Station. Now, when we put this station together in 4 lifts, I believe, we had, the life support and habitation module empty. There was no. We also had 2 fuel modules and then a communications module with a bunch of dishes and comm array antennas. So in the future, we could use this as a command and control station. So here's the build for the command module. It's actually really simple, and I probably overdid it, but it worked out. I used this vehicle with, well, this capsule with a tank, and I used the service module to put in the batteries and the monopropellant tanks, so they're not visible or radially attached. And then I attached this to my Ranger 2 launch vehicle. I've lifted probably up to 20 tons with this, and if you need to, there's still about it's a little bit more than 1.5 to 1 on the ratio of thrust to weight, so we could put another tank on there if we needed a little bit more delta V. Anything heavier than that, I will probably need to redesign, and I have access to the 2.5 meter parts now. We have some motors, or engines, I should say. So we'll probably end up using that if we need to do anything heavier. But for these launches, it's fine. There's plenty of fuel left over. If I didn't burn it on the way there doing stupid shit, then I would have had enough to actually. I would have had plenty left over. And here we go with the launch, and I'll kind of go through this really quickly. And as you can see, this launcher is it's pretty plain. It's just got a bunch of those large tanks, the single large tanks, and it's got those 8 radially attached, 8 or 7 radially attached long tanks from KW Rocketry, with the KW Rocketry engines below, and this thing gives plenty of lift. And just that stage, the first stage itself, which usually ends up being dumped in high atmosphere, has about 3,000 or 3,200 delta V in this particular setup. And then we got another couple thousand in this tank here, and we have another 1,000 or so in the tank that's actually connected to the command module. So we're going to go ahead and round out our orbit here, and then I will go through and get a rendezvous. And actually, I cut out a lot of it. It took me a lot longer than I wanted to. I was having trouble connecting nodes because of all the traffic that's in that area. I'm thinking about raising the station up to about 250 kilometers just to keep it clear of all the traffic down below. If you looked at my map, even without the connections from remote tech, it's really crowded in that equatorial 100 to 150 km orbits are pretty full, as you can see. So it was hard to select to put a node on the correct thing. So I went through for a while, and then I finally did I finally got the rendezvous that I was looking for, and we ended up getting close to the target. And that's also when I realized that I can't. That the station was actually out of connection, so you can't connect to a station that doesn't have power, which I don't understand why. I couldn't select a docking port on that station because it wasn't in connection with Kerbal Space Command, and I'm not sure why that is. It kind of doesn't make sense. If you're a manned command crew, you should be able to link up with a non-manned docking port vehicle, or a vehicle with a docking port that's unmanned, that shouldn't have anything to do with power, because once you'd make the connection, I would believe that you could be able to take over command of the electricity or computer systems on that station. However, that's not how it is in KSP, so we have to work around it. I had to wait for about half an orbit so I could get back into connection, and I went through a couple different satellites and tried to force the connection sooner, and it didn't work, so we had to wait. But it was only half a rotation. Wasn't a big deal. It could have been even less than that. Not a big deal. What you'll see now is just the rendezvous, and it's kind of drawn out a little bit because I was kind of far away and out of position of where I want it to be, because I ended up having to, like I said, go around half an orbit to get back into communications range for the station in order to be able to dock. So we're going to go through, we'll see us, we come close there, we start burning. I kind of burnt a little bit too late, so I ended up going seesawing back and forth with those burns, and then I was kind of paying attention to the sun because the moon was actually trying to eclipse it, and every time I looked, it would be in a different spot, but it would be like right on the edge, and I don't think you can see it here. It's like right on that right edge of the. There it is. You can see it out of the corner of the video. It's on the right side, and it just it wouldn't fully eclipse, and unless I missed it, or because I was moving around a lot, or it's some kind of issue with the display where it never really eclipsed the sun, and that was unfortunate because I wanted to get it eclipsed. I have seen it a few times. I do have a nice screenshot of the moon just to the left of the sun, and looking at the station on the edge on of the planet, which is actually, I think, the infographic on the beginning of the video. Anyway, all right, so we're just going to get close, and we'll nullify our velocity, then go back towards it, nullify, go back towards it. We'll do that for a good amount of time, unfortunately. And then we'll start making our docking attempt. And pro tip from someone on Google Plus, they put a comment on the video that said use shift and control for your docking maneuvers. I was actually rolling to get the different axes, but you can do that with shift and control, like in a jetpack. But you have to be in the orbital, not the orbital, yes, the docking version of the staging thing. So you go to that middle button where the planet is or whatever, and then it'll bring up two things, and when you hit spacebar, it'll bring up another version of the docking, and this makes it so you translate instead of turning your capsule in a direction, it thrusts in that direction. So very helpful, and that helped me a lot, and I appreciate that comment because it saved me a little bit of aggravation. It's been a long time since I actually docked without using MechJeb. So basically, this I've done a million launches, rendezvous, docks, but they've all been with MechJeb, even though I did them originally first before MechJeb come out. Coincidentally, when I first started using MechJeb, it was after the great forum crash of 2013. I was not able to get on, and I almost gave up on the game because I just couldn't get anything right. And then eventually, after about 6 hours, I finally got a dock, although it wasn't perfect, and it took a while, but I actually had to, load the save game over again a couple times, but I finally got it. But yeah, I had been playing from launch to rendezvous and dock. It was about 6 hour mission, and I was out of work at the time. I had torn my bicep, and I had one arm, and it was just awful. But I had so much fun once I did it. It was a great accomplishment, and I'm glad I did it. And I did it a few more times after that, but right after that, the forum came back up, and MechJeb was once again available, and I threw it on there, and I kind of hadn't looked back. But it's nice now using it in hard mode, trying to figure out all these things that I once did a long time ago, but now I've forgotten. And it is a perishable skill, so kudos to Scott Manley for doing it for so long without MechJeb. I watched a lot of his videos, and helped me out a lot. All right, so we are just translating into this position. We're kind of far away from the station, and that had to do with trying to swap things around with communications and all that stuff. But we'll get back, and with those tips that I've heard and received, it actually didn't take me that long to do, which is surprising because usually it takes me a while. And then we'll just dock up, and pretty much that's the. I mean, we could bring up other Kerbals, but this is the core station now. The next thing I'll do is bring up I would say like maybe a science package, but all the science we've pretty much done already. so it's not really critical. And I should have thrown a hub module in the center of this because it is kind of long, and I would have liked to been able to put stuff on, keep it a little bit smaller. It kills my frame rate already, so I don't know how much bigger I'm going to make this. When I was doing this docking, I was about 6 frames a second, and it's a little bit tough to do like the fine control maneuvers because things don't react maybe first time, second time you click on them. And I was closing the solar panels, and that's when it really became evident that I was having a little bit of trouble, and yet had to click on them a few times and just to get them to close. But I mean, that was pretty much it. And I did the math real quick. It was about 860 days with 3 Kerbals on board of life support, and that is, they still have water and oxygen after those 860 days. I put extra cans of those on just in case. They can live without food for a couple days. And I just turned the power off because we were draining them quite a bit and we are going around the planet. What will happen is after a certain amount of time, and I actually set this in the alarm, the Kerbal alarm, I set it for about 848 days. And it'll go off, and that'll remind me that I need to do a resupply mission. But hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, comment, and check out my other videos. Let me know what you want to see. Thank you.